In every episode, I try to find a moral or a lesson that I can talk about. Episode 7 doesn't move the plot forward in any real way, which could technically define it as filler. I was actually about to combine it with episode 8, but something hit me as I was rewatching it for like the 5th time. But first I need to set the stage a bit and tell you about myself. I've apparently been making videos for about a year now. To this day, I still haven't passed my view count for this dumb Smite video that I made, though I am close. It got me to thinking about why I make videos and what with the recent changes to the YouTube Partner Program. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you that I really don't care about those changes, and the people who do are a bit delusional. I feel like I work pretty hard on my videos, but in no way do I think I deserve to get paid for them. It's actually why I stopped putting my Patreon at the end of them. I don't feel like they're up to snuff yet. This is a passion project for me, and the recent news combined with this episode made me wonder why I make these, if not for money. I'm not gonna bullshit you. I hope I eventually can make something off my work, but that's not why I do it. Honest to God, I do it because I enjoy when people engage with something I've created. Seeing people comment on videos, be they positive or negative, makes me feel like I'm moving forward in something, even if the channel is small right now. In the real world, in order to have someone listen to you, you need to either know them already or have all these criteria. On the internet, the power dynamic is different. People show up to listen to ideas, and the more people that hear those ideas, the more weight I'd give to them. So by now you're asking, what the hell does this have to do with the episode? Well, Mimiru is debating about whether or not she should remain involved with Tsukasa. After their last conversation, she's feeling like getting close to him is more trouble than it's worth, and if she continues, then it'll only cause her to get hurt. She talks to Bear and BT about it, but they both basically tell her that if she wants to quit, they won't stop her. She's a middle school student, and they are adults. Even if they need her to get close to Tsukasa, they can't reasonably expect her to shoulder the burden of another person's baggage. Unfortunately, it's not really the help she wanted, so she leaves them with Bear wondering if he said anything wrong. BT understands and says that Mimiru is just being childish. It's at this point that I want to talk about the power dynamics of an internet conversation. A lot of this might sound obvious, but it's important to understand the differences that a conversation on the internet has with a conversation in real life. Beyond, of course, a lack of physical presence, there's also a universal equality of engagement. I'll give you an example. At this point in 2018, you can directly conversate with the last 5 living presidents of the United States. And a lot of people do. Now, of course, they can just choose to ignore you, which they do, but that doesn't change the fact that in a normal situation, you could never have a direct conversation with a person of that importance. No matter how much he engages with your comment, the power dynamic of the conversation is more in your favor than it would normally be. That being said, it doesn't mean you control the conversation just because you can now engage with them. The power in an internet conversation comes from the amount of people who demand engagement with you. So Donald Trump doesn't have to respond to me, because the amount of engagement I have is lower than his. In Tsukasa's case, he has all the power in any conversation, because the demand for his company is high. He's at the very center of the biggest mystery in the world, and the only person that's even close to being considered his friend is having second thoughts on how she might want to be involved with him. She was hoping for someone to tell her the right answer, which is why she went to Bear and BT, but they basically said the choice was hers. So now she has to find a reason to get closer to Tsukasa, knowing that the closer she gets, the more likely it is to get hurt. It makes her wonder, why should I do that in a video game that's meant for fun? Why not just drop Tsukasa and go do something else? Which makes her wonder why she plays the game in the first place. Her conflict in this episode gets resolved in 3 events, the first being her meeting a new character, A20. A20 is a young girl who's trying out the world because her friends play it. She asks Mimiru to carry her through a dungeon that's way out of her league, and Mimiru declines, citing that not only is her level too low, but she hasn't even read the manual. A20 gets frustrated and complains that the people who play this game only come here to waste time. When Mimiru asks why it has to be that place, she simply says, "Because I want to try." A20 at first seems like an uninteresting character, but she actually has quite a bit of wisdom in her simplicity. She recognizes the tedium of playing a game that is so focused on interpersonal relationships, but also understands that without playing with other people, there really isn't any fun to be had in an MMO, which makes a lot of sense. I'd say that 75% of the fun of an MMO is the player-to-player interaction. If you aren't engaging with people, then you are basically just playing a really shitty RPG. Nevertheless, she gets destroyed by the first monster they fight, showing that she basically has no idea how to play the game, and Mimiru leaves out of frustration. After ditching A20, Mimiru calls for Bear, but BT shows up in his place. She still doesn't quite trust BT, which is probably smart, but confides in her anyways. Out of curiosity, she asks BT what Bear does for a living. BT, being BT, replies with no comment and tells her to ask him herself. Now, it may sound like BT is just being difficult as usual, but I feel she's actually being genuinely helpful to Mimiru this time. Mimiru's problem is that she isn't emotionally mature enough to understand that sometimes in order to get closer with someone, you have to accept the fact that you have to be able to open yourself up to the possibility of getting hurt as well. If you've seen Ava or any analysis videos of it, you'll recognize the Hedgehog's dilemma. BT is saying that if you want to get close to Bear, you're going to have to accept the social burden of getting to know the person behind the avatar. Mimiru goes to meet Subaru, who asks her about Tsukasa. Subaru seems to be genuinely worried about Tsukasa and wants to find him, but doesn't want to use the Crimson Knights. Mimiru starts to project a bit, asking Subaru if she wants to find Tsukasa, that she shouldn't give up, because abandoning a person that you have connected with feels wrong. She resolves that even if Tsukasa is irritating, that it's even more irritating to end things as they are, with him just being that one annoying jerk she met one time. Speaking of leaving things unresolved, she returns to A20, who continued with the dungeon and is almost dead. Mimiru heals her and they both decide to finish what they started. During the next fight, Mimiru explains that if she's gonna leave Tsukasa, she's gonna leave him after she completely hates his guts, so she won't have to give a shit after that. She's accepted that part of herself, then they complete the dungeon and find a golden grunty, which, by the way, in the game increases your max HP. Super good item. I totally wouldn't have given it away, but I'm an asshole. The episode ends with Mimiru attempting to contact Tsukasa again. You know, it's these kind of episodes that remind me of how good the writing is in Sign. This was a genuinely interesting character arc for what is one of the simpler characters in the show, and I found a lot of heart in its resolution. I feel for Mimiru here. When you raise your voice, there's always the possibility that no one will like what you have to say, or even worse, no one will care. Making these videos is really fun. It's nice to have a project and to have goals that I meet. It's fascinating to have a voice and exhilarating when I get responded to, so I'll definitely be continuing the series until it's freaking over. If you've stuck with me this far, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.